As most of you know, we did a whole week of Celebration of Mind in October, the week of October 21st, Martin Gardner's birthday. We did 21 presentations, 3 a day for a week, and we'll be doing that again in April. And on all the other months, until the pandemic is over, we will be doing one presentation on the 21st of the month. Today we have Nathaniel Segal, and the title of his presentation is Performing Magic on the Virtual Stage. Today's presentation will be part magic show and part behind the scenes and discussion. Nathaniel grew up in the Bay Area, and when I say Bay Area, I mean the Bay Area of San Francisco. And he graduated from UC Berkeley, where he majored in applied mathematics and minored in theater. While he was at Berkeley, he actually taught a class in magic there, and it was a real class. The students got credit for it. He has been a professional magician for over 10 years, and he's been full-time for the past 4 years. He's been president of the Oakland Math Circle. He's presented at G4G, at G4G 13. He's published a trick, and he specializes in performing corporate magic for some of the top tech companies in Silicon Valley, including tomorrow at my daughter's company, which is one of the top ones. Like the rest of us, when COVID came, he had to pivot. And that's one of the main things he's going to talk to us about today, is how he pivoted to doing virtual magic shows. But I can tell you in one word how he did it: successfully. He won first place at one of the first ever virtual magic competitions at Abercorndabra, which those of you who are magicians know what that is. And he's been written up in KQED about how to adapt to online performances. So now we're going to switch to Nathaniel Segal, otherwise known as Magical Nathaniel.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. I'm really excited to be here talking for the Celebration of Mind through Gathering for Gardner. We had a little introduction, but a couple of things about me. I am a full-time magician. I got a math degree and theater minor. I did teach at UC Berkeley for a magic class. I performed for 30,000 people at the graduation, and I was the past president of the Oakland Magic Circle. And now previously I performed all over the Bay Area. I incorporated some of my mathematical magic effects into the show, and would perform for a lot of companies all over the Bay Area. And I also have published a magic effect, and I did speak on my Magic Square, which I'll talk a little bit about at the previous G4G a couple of years ago. So that's a little bit about myself. I also, just so you know about the virtual world, I did win a prize at I believe the first ever virtual magic contest, and that was through Abercorndabra. And I have done over 100 virtual shows and classes and events. One of the things I have is virtualmagicclass.com, just a little pitch there. And now I get to perform all over the world, and it's been pretty amazing. Now that's a little bit about myself, but I guess we should start by saying, can I do magic? I think that's probably a good way to start. And so I'd like to see if we can get a couple of volunteers. We'll need to promote them to panelists. And while we do that, I'd like to see, if anyone wants to mention in the chat if you'd like to help. We've got Ricardo. Very good. And so this is a little bit different than most of the virtual Zoom shows I do. Oftentimes it's a Zoom meeting that I will jump onto, and I'll talk about how to avoid what happened here. I guess it'll be a study in what not to do. But we will be bringing on people. I do want to stress that even though we are bringing people on in this way, that nothing has been prearranged. Everything, all choices are real, and all the magic is as you would see it live. So I think that's really important to say. And let's see if we can get our people. Let's see if we can see you. Hi, Tom. Nice to see you. Can you wave? You wave to everyone so that we know this is real. Okay. And where are you calling from today? What part of the world?
I'm from Ohio.
Ohio, fantastic. Welcome. Thanks for. Are you a magician?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I always have to make sure. That's good. That makes me relieved. All right, thank you so much, Tom. Let's see. And Ricardo, I will bring you on as well. Hi, Ricardo. Nice to see you. And where are you calling from today?
I'm from Texas.
Texas, fantastic. What part of Texas?
Houston area.
Houston, fantastic. I visited a couple of months ago. It's a wonderful area. Let's see. All right. So Tom and Ricardo, thank you so much for helping. Tom, I want you to think of a number, just a one-digit number, larger than 1, less than 10. Just keep that in your mind. Don't say it out loud yet. And you have something in mind? Perfect. Okay. I think you might be still muted. And Ricardo, I want you to think of a suit. Hearts, spades, diamonds, or clubs. Just one of those, and keep that in mind. Now, a couple of days ago, I had a dream, a vision of one playing card. I wasn't quite sure what it was, so I went over to a deck of cards, pulled out one at random, and placed it inside an envelope. I didn't even look. To make sure I couldn't see, I put it inside another envelope, inside another envelope, inside another envelope, and inside this envelope. Clearly, I have a lot of envelopes at home and a lot of time on my hands. It's a quarantine after all. But between the three of us, we have one card selected. Nobody knows what it is, but let's find out. Tom, can I have you say your number out loud?
8.
8. And Ricardo, your suit.
Clubs.
Is it clubs?
Clubs.
Clubs. Now, can I confirm, can you confirm for everyone that none of this has been prearranged? You did not know you would be making these choices today. Very good.
Totally now, free choice, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. I want to stress that. I also want to stress that I have been very deliberate in how I've held this envelope. Oftentimes people will accuse me of cheating, mainly because I am a cheater, but not in this case. All right. We've got, I'm not going to move this out of frame. All right. That's very important to me. All right. So we have 8 and clubs. That makes the 8 of clubs from Ohio to Houston. Take a look. Inside this envelope is another envelope. 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 And inside this envelope is one card. We had 8. We had clubs. That makes the 8 of clubs. Thank you very much, both Tom and Ricardo. You can make your way back down to your seat. Thank you, guys. Well, I also wanted to take a moment to appreciate getting to perform for all of you. You know, in this weird time, with so much going on, when things seem to have fallen to pieces, and we are separated from each other through the power of Zoom, we are able to see magic together. I'll share with you something. This new medium allows me to perform for people all over the world. And I'm so grateful that I'm able to share my passion for magic. And create something new. And in the end, we can all feel more connected. Thank you very much. All right. So hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of that. So now I'd like to talk a little, thank you, a little bit about what virtual shows are and some of the main ideas behind them. Now, oftentimes these shows are done through Zoom, but the most important thing is that they're live. These are, you're not watching a video and you could watch on Netflix or YouTube. This is done live and done with people interacting through Zoom. And so I think that's what's really important, is that the interactive aspect of being able to call volunteers and make magic happen with other people. Now, this has been really, people have been doing virtual shows for quite a while, but they really picked up around March or April, right around the pandemic, and same thing with me. And I think there was a good amount of resistance, I think there still is, with doing virtual shows, very much in the vein of, you know, magic is not meant to be seen this way. And I very much agreed with that, is that I was doing so many shows in person, and you really, the energy and timing and everything about the performance relied on playing off of the audience. And at least at the beginning, it was a very jarring experience to have to perform for essentially no one. I've done shows where I am just looking at a screen and I see a number, and you're not able to really play off the audience like you normally do in a performance. So having to work around that has been challenging. And so I think that was one of the biggest hurdles to jump through, is how do you make a show interactive where you don't really get to have the interactive element, where you could do a show for 6 people and everyone would be unmuted and you can sort of hear people's responses, but it's, you know, starts to get delayed, and anything more than 10 or so people starts to become this, you know, a cacophonous performance. And so, you know, by not being able to actually play off of the energy when you have that many people and everyone pretty much has to be muted, has been challenging. So you have to kind of adapt, and you have to keep the energy up. I think that's really important in performances, is it can be draining, even though when I performed in person, I had a very physical show. I would be running around. I did rollabola and juggling and a lot of circus skills. And I do my show now sitting. But it's still very taxing because I have to make up for the energy of the audience. So there's just different, you just have to look at things differently. And so essentially it's the same if I'm performing for 10 people or 10,000 people. It's really just kind of seeing, like right now, I don't really know who's here. I can't be terrified the fact that I know a lot of people who are here watching, but right now it's just a number on a screen for me. So that's been difficult, but it's a new challenge. But there's a lot of benefits to being able to do this. I had to get up early today. I know. Thank you for people who are on the West Coast watching. I think there's people all over the world, which is so cool. But because I'm on the West Coast, I had to wake up early. But if I had a show at 9 in the morning, I would have to wake up even earlier. I woke up and just got to sit here and turn on lights and start the show. So I think that's really what makes these events much easier, is I can have everything set up. I don't have to go to a show and worry about parking and logistics and all of that. Everything is set in this little world that we've created. And so there's certainly many benefits of being able to last week was one of the busiest weeks I've had during this this whole time, and I got to bunch shows up closer than I've ever done before. And I would never be able to do a show at 2:30 that ended at 3 o'clock and then do another show 15, 20 minutes later in real life. So there are so many advantages that we can take that we can utilize, and not to mention that it's actually a lot safer than doing an in-person show these days. I have done a couple of social distance shows a while back and realized that it's not something I really want to mess with too much. It can be a little dangerous, and you really there's many of the reasons why a virtual or an in-person show is better than a virtual show is that you get to interact with the audience, but that interactive element is taken out because you have to stay 6 feet apart from them. At least I know some magicians are performing just like they did before. I won't speak to that too much, but at least doing a socially distant show, you have to adapt everything where it's limited contact, sanitation, and everything. So there's just more to have to worry about. And also, you can perform without pants. I think that's also pretty cool. So there's a lot of advantages to doing shows. So I want to talk about what I think should go into a virtual show. And this is kind of a little bit of a theory. I think in order to make a successful Zoom virtual show, you need 3 elements. You need one of these. And I think it should be interactive. I think your show should be visual, or it should have an element that happens at home. And I'll talk a little bit about those and try to give some examples of these. But we can draw on what I just performed. Is I was able to use people from the audience, and the people who were able to help now have the sense of participation, that it is interactive, that the choices they're making do influence the show, and it reminds them that what they're watching is live, is real, and is for them. I think that's really important. And then the second thing I did was my version of a Torn and Restored, and I tried to make that as visual as possible. And I'm using a close-up camera. And I think that's something that's really important, and I'll talk about that in the tech section, is being able to show magic in a whole new way. And I'm now able to do essentially parlor magic, but then also close-up magic. And I can switch between them pretty easily and show magic really so close. And I love that aspect of it. So I think that's those are some of the things that I think should go into shows. So I've been talking for a little bit. I think maybe it's time to show another piece. I have actually been counting down the days until this lecture here today, actually on this board. I actually forgot to add yesterday and today. Perfect. Now, I would like to now share with you something that puts my math degree from UC Berkeley to use, so that my parents aren't entirely disappointed that I became a magician. First, we need a number. And to get one, we're going to use a tally counter. I like this because it's a totally fair way of getting a random number. Plus, I like the sound the clicker makes. Very satisfying. Hopefully you can see. We'll bring it a little closer. You can see when I click the counter like this, the numbers go up, and we can reset it like that. Now, I'd like to get a volunteer, and I believe we have, is it Simon?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Simon. Nice to meet you. And where are you calling from today?
Bexhill in the United Kingdom.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me. I guess this was made for you, so you don't have to wake up so early. So I appreciate it. Okay, Simon, what I'd like you to do is I'm just going to click through. Just say stop whenever you would like. All right, and I'll show that the numbers are going up, and we're just going to focus on a 2-digit number. Okay, so just say stop whenever you'd like.
Stop.
Right there. Are you happy?
Yes.
Or would you like to go one more?
Nope.
Okay. All right. I want to see if we can see that. Okay. Liz, can you read the number? I want to make sure there's no glare. Can you read that number?
No.
Okay. Let me see if I can come in a little closer.
68.
Is it 68? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to make sure. Yeah. We have the number 68 for everyone who can see. All right. Perfect. We're going to use the number 68 and do something incredible. I want to say thank you so much to Simon. You can wave goodbye, and I will let you go back to your seat. Thank you so much, Simon. Now, I am going to condense my knowledge of abstract algebra here on this board in less than 10 seconds. I'm going to start by filling in numbers like this. Now, we had the number 68. And you can see 49 plus 1 is 50, plus 12 is 62, plus 6 is 68. Now, anyone with too much time on their hands can do that. But if you think that's cool, watch this. Done. Was anyone keeping track of time? Okay, good. Doesn't really matter. All right, take a look. 49 plus 4, that's 53. Plus 9, that's 62. Plus 6, that's 68. All of those rows add up to 68. But we can take it one step further. If you look at the columns, 6 and 3, that's 9. Plus 47, that's 56. Plus 12, that's 68. All of those columns add up to 68. But we can go even further. The diagonals, those add up to 68. The four corners, as we saw earlier, those add up to 68. These four, the inside squares, those add up to 68. These four, 68. These four, 68. And, okay, you probably weren't expecting to do this much math today, so I think you get the point. But there's more than 68 different possible combinations of Simon's freely chosen number 68. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Now, maybe you've seen magic with numbers done like this before. And if you have, and if you haven't, you can feel free to take a picture of this. You can do the math later if you are so inclined. But there's another miracle hiding in plain sight. You check out this magical coincidence. If you count the marks on this board, 1, 2, 3, 4. No. I'm not going to count them all. That would take forever. But you'll find that there are 68 of them, exactly the number we chose just a moment ago. But if that's not enough, watch this. That's right. 49, 4, 9, 6. Every single number that is a perfect match. Thank you very much. All right. Well, so that is my magic square routine. It's something that I've been working on for a while, and I really enjoy getting to do it. Now, one thing I will also add is if you wanted to try this for yourself, if you're curious what would happen if a different number was chosen, I have a little souvenir for you. If you would like, I will actually make you a magic square of your own. That's right. If you go to the URL right here, or scan the QR code right there. You can fill out a form that will have you pick whatever number you want, and I will make you your own personalized magic square. And I think that's pretty cool. So a little magic thing right there. I'll keep that up for just a moment while I transition into some of the ideas behind this routine. So aside from having a math background, and also I know there's a good number of mathematicians here. There's this talk today has been interesting to put together, since there's magicians watching and there's mathematicians and there's people who are also just interested in seeing magic. So I wanted to try to cater to everyone. So I'll use this routine to illustrate a couple of things. One is this is more of the audience participation aspect, but then also this is an element that I wanted to add as a doing at home. So this is something that allows you to interact with the magic after the show has concluded. And I also am using this as a way to gather emails and be able to create my mailing list. And so I've got an option on there where you can, get updates from me about like things I'm doing, like when this routine will be on TV. So there's definitely benefits of using this. So there's a kind of a lot of hidden things within this routine. I think hopefully everyone's gotten a chance to take that. I'm going to take that off the screen there. Okay. So, I'm using QR codes, and I'm also using volunteer interaction. I think I want to also use this to illustrate, since I understand there's a lot of people using Zoom for different things. I'm using it for performing, but I also am, I understand there's, just like I was doing magic classes, people are also using Zoom to teach. And I cannot imagine how challenging of a job that is, just because I get to entertain people and do the easy part. But when you're actually trying to teach core subjects like math or science or English, that becomes challenging. So I'm hoping that I can just give a little bit of insight into this world, and hopefully some of what I'm doing here can translate to making your presentations more engaging and interactive. One of the things I will say that comes to mind is making things run smoothly, and I'll talk about this again later in the tech aspect. But I think, especially with aside from the beginning part, I wanted to make this presentation run really smoothly. So you could see, and I think I saw just in the corner of my eye, I can't, somebody was asking about how I got this, and I guess that's a good lead in, is I'm using a program that helps run everything smoothly. And I think when you cut out those moments, and this is just like in magic shows, when you're trying to, the transitions are just as important as the magic itself, is that time when, how do you keep the audience's engagement and attention while you're moving from one effect to another? And when you do it well, you have good transitions. And so, just like shows, for presentations, I think that's important. So if you're sharing the screen, I'm using a program that allows me to play music, share video, add graphics, add pictures, and I will show a little bit of that system. But I think when you are not having to spend time saying, okay, let me share my screen, any wasted seconds are opportunities for people to tune out. So I think that's really important. A couple of other things is you do want to try to connect with people. I understand sometimes when you're teaching, especially with schools like grade school, the schools or the different districts don't require video on, and I think that's really hard because you can't tell who is there, and that's one of the challenges I found with teaching magic online is, especially to kids, they get frustrated, but I have no idea if any of the kids even understand any of the magic that's happening. So I strongly encourage, as much as you can, to have people turn on the video so you can actually see. But that also is, if you're sharing a video, try keep your video on so then they can see you. Also, just calling on people to participate, just like a normal class, you want to be able to bring students on and call on them and have them participate. So it is an interactive lecture. And perhaps you can use interactive elements such as polls or questionnaires, maybe give away rewards for participation, things like that. I recommend adding graphics and making it fun. I think one thing that's really important is most teachers, I don't think, are teaching from their classrooms. They're teaching from their homes. And that is an opportunity for the students to actually get to know more about you. And so right now, this is my set, but I don't expect teachers to have a full background. Some people use green screen and all that. But if you show a little bit of who you are, I think that helps connect with your audience, with your students, and is a way that people can be able to know more about you, and hopefully you're able to be more engaging that way. Yeah, and I think I would connect this to, especially early in the pandemic, a lot of the late night shows like Jimmy Fallon or Seth Meyers or John Oliver were doing them from home, and you got to see sort of their family life. And I think that was very endearing and showed more of who they were. So I appreciated that. Okay, so now I want to shift gears a little bit to talking about the technical side of shows. How does this all work? So I want to pull back the curtain, as it were, and show a little bit of the elements that go into putting on what you're seeing here today. And that's why I wanted to make this lecture not where I'm showing a PowerPoint, but very much to showcase some of the graphics and elements that you can use in shows. So with technical, the show has evolved, especially knowing that a year ago, I had no idea that I would be doing virtual magic. That made, it was not even a thought in my mind. So these shows continue to evolve, and I am so amazed at all of the incredible things that other magicians are doing. And I certainly don't have the most complicated setup. You'll probably end up seeing that in a little bit, but these shows are constantly a work in progress. And so my show later today will be different than my show tomorrow. And I hope to continually improve elements. And so one thing I do want to stress is that I'll show you my setup, but I've slowly moved pieces in and out as I've made the show tighter and more sophisticated. So just so you know, this is the evolution. This was one of my first magic classes and shows. Video quality was bad. I was previously standing up. I did use my backdrop. I did use a little bit of close-up, but I just moved the camera down. Then I used a wide-angle lens. That was not so great. This was my old setup, kind of less sophisticated, just a camera and laptop. I had lighting issues. Things got a little bit clearer and better with how I placed the camera. I upgraded cameras. And I added keyed in graphics and better lighting and a little bit of extra bells and whistles into where the show is today. So you can see the show has evolved quite a bit. And I think it's really important to keep innovating the show. I'd like to think people appreciate the tech that goes into it. A Zoom show that's just you in your living room that doesn't look clean or there's not really good quality. I think doesn't come over as well to the audience. So I'll take a moment to just toot my own horn a little bit and show some reviews I've gotten recently. You don't have to read all this text. This is a lot of text. But basically this was one, somebody had mentioned screen sharing and the audience participation and close-up camera. Here's one from Genentech, also talking about the close-up aspect of it, and being able to work, and here's another one from Workday talking about the set and the music and camera angles and all of that. So the reason I'm bringing this up is aside to say, look at me, look how great I am, is also to note that people pick up on this. People recognize that. One of my favorite things from the call with Genentech is afterward, this is a big tech company, to be able to have them say, we do Zoom meetings. We don't know how you did all of that tech stuff that you just did, was really cool. So I think people, just like when you go to a theater, when you see a theater production, you appreciate the set design and the lighting and sound. I think all of that can translate to a show. And so as you improve the show, I think the people do pick up on these elements because you don't want to do a show where you're just as familiar with Zoom as they are, or less proficient. You want to be the expert. You want to be able to impress them with the magic, but also the technical, because unfortunately now with these virtual shows, you have to be a producer and director. And I'll talk a little bit about having these people help as well. But oftentimes these shows, you have to do many things on your own. I'm controlling through wireless through a wireless mouse, all of the information. So yeah. I want to stress that there's no one right way of doing a Zoom show. And I'd like to illustrate that now by showing a couple of setups that other performers have. And so I've asked a few friends of mine to show what their set looks like, but then also what the behind the scenes tech aspect looks like. And so I want to show you a few magicians here. So here's our first one. This is Robert Bax. And you can see he's got a more simple setup. Ryan Scott, he's got the black backdrop, but he's got multiple monitors and he's using different tech. Chris Herron's using, he's got nice decor behind him that worked out with his house. David's using a library, a pretty simple sitting down setup. Falaka really stands up to perform, and he's got a lot of tech there. He's Moz. So he's got, I think, a very cool pirate themed set. Kindly Misty Night, you'll go with the simpler red backdrop. Jonathan Molo's got a open space there. And Ken Scott's using a wall backdrop. And so he's got a pretty sophisticated setup. And Nathan Comarsh. So you can see he's got a pretty wide thing. So there's a couple of setups that you can see that we've all kind of had to learn this on our own. And so sharing knowledge has been really helpful, but a lot of this is kind of through trial and error and figuring out what works best. So now you can see here's my setup. That's the kind of what it looks like all there. And this is what I'm looking at right here. So there's a little bit, I've got the multiple cameras. So it's not the most sophisticated, but I think it works for what I'm doing currently. And there it is. So what are some of the things that you need? Lights, camera, action. I'm going to show you some of the things that go into my show. And I will also mention, this is not a sponsored segment. Everything here is through Amazon, but not necessarily by choice. Oftentimes, it's the best place to get stuff. And I've tried to go to Best Buy and the other places. And sometimes when you need the props, you just don't have the specific elements that you need. So I will mention everything that you'll see has just been pulled from the Amazon site. But this is the elements that I'm using. All of this. So let me just quickly go over what I have going on. One thing that I think is really important if you are doing Zoom shows is to invest in an Ethernet cable. It just is more consistent and reliable than Wi-Fi. So get yourself an Ethernet cable. I have slowly upgraded the camera from my show. I have a pretty bad web camera on my laptop, so I couldn't use that. I've had to use external ones. And so the camera I'm using is a Canon Vixia HFR80, I believe. And so that's been working pretty well. You can, it's a mid-range camera. One of the main challenges is to connect this camera is if you can't just plug it into USB like a webcam does. You're going to need a capture card. There it is. So you'll need a capture card that can connect to the computer. You also need lighting. I'm using 100-watt LED bulbs. They're brighter and I think safer than regular bulbs. And to hold them, I'm using clamp lights. And because they are so bright, I'm using some diffusers here. So those are light diffusers. And then there's also a lot of people are using ring lights. Trying to get the ring light. This is just a standard ring light. You can get like $30. And I'm using that for side lighting here, but oftentimes you can do it straight on. And then in terms of microphones, you can use the one that's built into your camera. You can use an external one. I'm using a transmitter receiver, pretty sophisticated one. This is the Sennheiser transmitter receiver, and that works pretty well for what I'm doing here. And I think that picks up pretty well. And then for the close-up camera, I'm actually using just a normal webcam, and that's my Logitech camera. And then because I have so many things plugged in, I also recommend getting a USB extender there. And then for the bells and whistles, I am using this is Eve light strip. It's a controllable set of lights. That's in the back here. And this is, I think, what's really cool is I can change the lighting for my show with a push of a button. And so I like to keep it on blue. And lastly, what I'm using is this thing here, Stream Deck. And so that is kind of the heart of the show. That's everything you see right here. And so I'm using, so that's everything that goes into the show. And so I'm clicking my Stream Deck right now. All right, so that is this is the entire show, and I have what I've done is pretty much programmed everything into what's known as OBS, and basically this lecture right here is 150 elements of pictures and videos and sounds. That's all put together and running through Stream Deck. And then just as a little extra thing, if you are doing these, internet's really important. We're doing virtual shows. And so it's important to, if you don't know about this already, do a speed test for your internet. You can go to Google and just do speed test. This is what it looks like. You just run your speed test, and you want to have a download speed of around 20 megabits per second and 5 megabits per second. And so this is kind of you can see what it's doing. So this is decent internet. So you just want to make sure that's solid to be able to stream. So that's pretty good.
I had a technical question.
Oh yes, sure. Yeah. Hi.
Logitech camera you use?
Yes, this is a Logi Pro C92X, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to come by them. They're really hard to come by. They're on Amazon. I think it's the $100 range. So everything you see here is probably $2,000 at least worth of equipment. And I've mentioned this a couple of times, is what is OBS? That's Open Broadcasting Software. And so that is pretty much what the entire show is running through. And I'll just show you. This is the kind of shell of what OBS is. I won't talk too much about this, but I do recommend anyone who is interested in learning. The whole show runs through OBS, and basically that allows you to add scenes and everything. The whole show is running through OBS, and then also Stream Deck. This is the interface for Stream Deck, so it's a button switching device. Okay, so we've gone through a lot. We'll do the math portion of this since for those of you who are, I guess, well, we did do the Magic Square, but I want to do something that you can actually do at home. And I think it's kind of fun. So I've got a grid of numbers. If you've got a pen and paper, now's a good time. You can do this, follow along with me on this. And you can copy down this grid of numbers. There it is right here. Take a moment. I'll put it back on the screen afterwards, and you can see it here. But you can copy this, and we'll do this together. This is a nice little mathematical magic trick here. So, hey, Diego. Okay, so we're going to do a little mathematical number trick. You might know this already. But let's see. I want you to just tell me any number. We're going to circle it. Pick any number on this grid. Since some of the numbers are repeated, you might have to tell me the row and column it's in.
The first row, 6.
Perfect. So we'll use number 6. Now, I want you to pick a different number, but not in the same row and column. So we're going to eliminate these ones. Okay.
So I want the 4.
4. Perfect. Okay, good. There's only one other one. Okay. So, and then we'll repeat that. And then something else?
The number 2.
Number 2. And then lastly, I think all we have left is a 9.
I insist.
And so if we, freely chosen numbers, and let's see, if we add them up, 6 and 2 is 10, 6 and 4 is 10, and 9, that's 19 plus 2, that's 21, and that matches my prediction here to be 21. There it is. And it also happens to be today's date. That's right. And it's also in honor of Gardner's birthday, which is October 21st. Thank you. Thank you for helping, Tiago. Appreciate it. I recommend checking out Mathematics, Magic, and Mystery by Martin Gardner. You'll find this and many other really cool things of mathematics and magic nature in there. So I recommend that. But I also... you can try this with other numbers. The way I was made aware of it was through the numbers 1 through 16. And you follow the same process, and it comes out to 34, which is also the magic square sum if you use the numbers 1 through 16 as a magic square. And I won't talk too much about that, but this is a cool little mathematical trick. And so if you haven't gotten a chance to take the numbers down, but I appreciate you guys sticking through all of this. I had one thing I do relate to is this social media post, and I think a lot of shows are like this. So the show looks nice, but that's actually how the show looks like after I've done 4 shows. It's a mess. And so what's cool is with these shows is you're able to have new opportunities to create magic. There's new avenues. We can't do some of the tricks that we used to do, like sponge balls or other magic that happens in the hand, at least not right now, virtually. I want to also see if there is time for Q&A, or if anyone has questions. With Zoom shows, really the main thing is I can talk a lot about different Zoom elements, but one of the major things is I want to talk about is details. Is that try to make this add a lot of details to the show. One thing I will show is that is my intro video, so I recommend having one of those, and that helps to be able to especially if people are coming late, I recommend adding intro video, music, multiple cameras if you can, like a countdown timer and all of that. So I'm going to take a step back and see if there are questions. I want to say thank you for joining me and being a part of this. I'm happy to share more knowledge on my magic and virtual shows. For anyone who is interested, you can find me there. That's a majority of what I had to say. I hope you enjoyed some of the magic and some of the behind the scenes look at what goes into these virtual shows.
Thank you, Nathaniel. It's been great.
I see somebody. I might have said it too fast. The item is a stream deck, Elgato Stream Deck. That's what this looks like here. The Stream Deck, and so the entire my entire presentation was on here. So I don't want to switch things around too much, but basically, this was my intro. These were the intro things. My theory section. So it's basically I organize the whole show to be like this. So through Stream Deck, and that's how it helps me keep organized and trying to make the show run smoothly.
Okay, so I've let Mr. Joshi, I don't know how to pronounce your first name, but he wanted to ask a question orally, so he can talk now.
Oh yeah, hi.
Hey, Nathaniel, thanks, man. I loved your show. I was wondering, I had two questions. One is Zoom show going to be here after the pandemic, or would people don't want to watch a virtual Zoom show afterwards?
Absolutely, that's a great question, and I think that's been the debate a long time with the resistance on doing Zoom shows. Is that it was like, I'm not going to do these Zoom shows. I'm just going to wait till things come back to normal. Unfortunately, there's no such thing as normal anymore, because whatever we go back to, when that does happen, it's going to be a whole different world. And we're going to have to dance through this live shows and rework how, because I think that the fact of the matter is, at least for a while, we won't be able to go back to what we did before. And honestly, some things are good. I think there was, inappropriate touching from magicians, or just closeness and also just other aspects that I think we can take a look at with a closer eye and realize, yeah, we don't need to do these anymore. And so some things will be for the better. I know some magic tricks. It's like, we might not be able to do. And I think also, especially tricks where you touch the spectator without them knowing through misdirection. I think those effects won't be as effective just because people will be more conscious of touching. So I think shows will be different. There's no question about it. Shows will be back. I don't know when, but I also know this is here to stay for at least a while. And I think in this transition period, there's going to be a lot of Zoom shows. I think there's a lot of people, because a lot of companies are realizing we don't have to rent a venue. We don't have to get catering. We don't have to, work out all these logistics. We can just do a holiday party. And so it ends up being a lot easier for these companies. Some companies, I believe Twitter is no longer going to have people in the office. It's all going to be remote from now on. And so I think a lot of companies are going to realize that this is the future, is it's just more practical. And so I think there's going to be a lot of Zoom shows and virtual events. So I think this will be something to get used to for at least the time being. But I guess only time will tell. But I've invested enough to be excited about continuing these shows. Thank you so much to you guys for the question.
One more question, Nathaniel.
Oh, sure, yeah.
About, I would love to use magic to teach kids. Can magic be used to educate? Maybe some math concepts and
yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I think that's what's really cool is when you're teaching, especially in my magic classes, you have the opportunity to secretly teach people magic or other concepts. And because kids are already excited about learning magic, you can teach them math or science. A lot of principles overlap. And so it's a great, very powerful teaching tool. So I recommend, actually, I think Skanda knows a couple of things. She teaches magic. So maybe I would recommend getting in touch with her.
Yeah, I run Mathemagics camps, and and lots of other people do similar things where you can really get into deep, rich mathematics through magic tricks. And yeah, it's a fabulous tool. Somebody's also expressed some concern, or wondering if you have the concern about the fact that recordings appear, video on YouTube. If people watched your tricks over and over, whether that uses it up somehow.
I guess I'll explain that and partially explain why I didn't talk about the card trick, because that is something that not too many people have seen, and I haven't really published it. And knowing that it might be posted on YouTube, I do want to sort of keep this. I'm happy to share this. But because of originality and magic, it's a lot easier for magicians to feel entitled about taking magic if they feel like, oh, I know how this is done, I can do it. So I've seen that a lot in the community, and I hope that doesn't continue happening. I appreciate magicians who do respect the art, and so that is. I do have reservations oftentimes when I have original material, and I don't want people to see it and figure it out and feel like, oh, I figured it out, so I can perform it. So that there is absolutely, and I think this is a further debate, especially when you're doing school shows or family events, birthday parties, and kids are on camera and you are recording. And so that, I think, is also something to be aware of, and asking permission, consent for when you are recording, I think, is also really important, just because you don't want to make anyone upset. And that is a new element, because there is that little record button, and as a participant, it's hard to be a part of that. So it's oftentimes performers will have video releases in their ticket sales when they're doing ticketed shows and all that.
Can't you make it so that people can't record it, or you can't?
I don't know. I think there's the recording in Zoom aspect where you can see it there, and then there's also the screen capture aspect, which is a harder discussion and harder to regulate. And I don't have solutions, or I don't know how you can work around that. And if anyone has, I'm curious, but that's a challenging topic. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your support. I'm trying to look through the list here of people who have joined. I'm honored and terrified that so many people are watching. Well, again, I want to say thank you to G4G and the Celebration of Mind for having me talk about virtual shows. Again, if you need anything, or if you want to reach out or connect, I'd love to meet new people, especially now online is the only way to do it. So it's so cool that people from all over the world, if there's any way I can help, please let me know. I would love to go over the Stream Deck stuff or OBS. If OBS scares you, if those letters terrify you like they did me a few months ago, let me know, and I'm happy to walk you through it and make it not so bad. And all of this was programmed. The entire show was programmed last night, so I did all of that. And so it's time consuming, but it's doable, and you can see the power of how presentations can be done. So I didn't want to do a PowerPoint. So I very much appreciate all of you. I look forward to seeing you again online.
Nathaniel,
thanks so much, everyone. I'm Nathaniel.
40
Bye-bye.
people still here. So, but we're going to end the meeting. Thanks again for coming, everybody.